can't change the way of the world. But you can take an alternate route in the Audi 90 Quattro. A car that sticks to the road, not to the rules. Because it assigns power to whatever wheels need it, whenever they need it. Ample reward for resisting the commonplace and taking the alternate route.
You've got the magic touch. It makes me glow so much. It casts a spell. It rings a bell. The magic touch.
On your next vacation, feel the Hyatt touch.
The magic touch.
New Chicken Gravy Train has great chicken taste. New Chicken Gravy Train. It's worth crowing about.
Not this much. Not this much. Just this much. New Advanced Formula Kaopectate works fast to relieve diarrhea and cramps. And it tastes better, too. New Advanced Formula Kaopectate. More than ever, the diarrhea specialist.
What does grapefruit juice have in common with Ponce de Leon? Grapefruit juice isn't an explorer who discovered Florida, but it's worth discovering and easier to find than the Fountain of Youth. So for a refreshing taste discovery, forget the fountain and bring home 100% pure Florida grapefruit juice.
Mark McKay, Headline Sports. Half of the NCAA's Final Four field is set. Yesterday, interim coach Steve Fisher led his Michigan Wolverines to Seattle by winning the Southeast Regional. Glenn Rice canned 32 points. Sean Higgins added 31 as Michigan topped Virginia 102-65. Fisher is the first interim coach to take his team to the Final Four. He's 4-0 since taking over for Bill Frieder. Seton Hall received its ticket to Seattle on Saturday by capturing the West region. The Pirates manhandled Nevada-Las Vegas 84-61 behind a balanced scoring attack and airtight defensive play. Andrew Gaze had 19 points, while the Pirates held the Running Rebels just 30% shooting from the floor. This afternoon, regional finals are on tap in the Midwest and East. At Minneapolis, Illinois, and Syracuse square off. At the Meadowlands, it's Georgetown against the last remaining ACC team, the Duke Blue Devils. Now to a busy night in the NBA. We'll start in Seattle, where the Bulls notched their fourth straight road win. Michael Jordan took control of this game, scoring 21 points, adding 12 rebounds and 12 assists, and giving Chicago a 111-110 win over the Sonics. Atlanta's success away from home continues. Last night, the Hawks handed the Knicks a rare loss at Madison Square Garden. Dominique Wilkins pumped in 34 points to lead Atlanta past New York 115-108. Detroit is now in first place in the Central Division after they beat up Charlotte 113-101. 8 Pistons scored in double figures. Houston set season highs in points and rebounds in beating Golden State last night 144-104. Center Akeem Olajuwon had 24 points and pulled down 15 of the team's 65 boards. Elsewhere, the Heat has won 3 of its last 4 games. On Saturday, Miami edged San Antonio. Washington pulled out a 111-108 overtime win over Indiana. Milwaukee knocked Cleveland out of first place in the Central Division with an overtime victory. Karl Malone had 37 points as the Jazz downed Denver. Phoenix was 20 better than the LA Clippers, and Sacramento nipped Portland 106-105. On the ice, Pittsburgh's Mario Lemieux scored his 8th career hat trick as the Penguins put away New Jersey 5-4. Lemieux's 3 goals brought Pittsburgh back from a 3-0 first period deficit. Ed Olchuk scored a hat trick in Toronto's 6-5 victory over Detroit last night. On the scoreboard, Boston doubled up Chicago. The Whalers blanked the Blues. Philadelphia was too much for the New York Rangers. Quebec beat Buffalo. The North Stars and Canadiens finished in a 1-all tie, and Los Angeles topped Edmonton 4-2. Wayne Gretzky had an assist to keep his scoring streak alive at 13 games. Mark McKay, Headline Sports.
Maybe you can't stop the world in its tracks. But you can take an alternate route in the Audi 200 sedan. It rejects fixed formulas. Instead, its advanced brakes adapt and assign stopping power according to the size of the load. Welcome reassurance for ignoring the ordinary and taking the alternate route.
Imes Dog Food asks, what would happen if dogs ran the world? Humans would have to drive with their heads out the window. All valuables would be buried in the backyard. Sniffing would replace handshakes as a form of greeting.
I'll see you.
And people would have to buy their dogs Imes Dog Food, sold only by pet specialists.
Oh, this is what you...
Because the nutrition in Imes makes a healthy difference you can see and your dog can feel. Imes, special pet foods found only at special places.
The Chicago art student whose exhibit prompted visitors to step on the American flag is now getting stepped on by others. A high school art teacher is offering museum visitors a chance to walk on a life-size sketch of artist Dred Scott Tyler. The owner of the Vietnam Museum says he wanted to display the teacher's exhibit because it showed contempt for Tyler's work. The flag display at the Art Institute of Chicago has sparked protests and accusation from veterans that Tyler was unpatriotic. Another display is attracting people who are curious about creepy, crawly critters. Craig Heaps has more on a zoo where it's fun to learn about insects and bugs.
It's like velvet.
Don't be afraid. I would not have this out here if it could hurt you.
Welcome to the San Francisco Insect Zoo. This is a place where you can not only see some of the world's most fascinating bugs, but even touch some of them. Today, second graders from Marin Country Day School are learning about arthropods, such things as insects and mollusks and arachnids that have their skeletons on the outside.
Your skeleton is where? You're soft on the outside and hard in the middle.
Yes.
But all the animals in this group, what's the word? That's what all the arthropods have.
The folks at the San Francisco Zoo started this display 10 years ago as a pilot project to teach people how important insects are to the ecosystem.
Aside from pollinating all the plants, or 80% of the plants on Earth, they're biocontrol agents for other insects. They're food for almost all the other animals in the world, you know, all kinds of animals, reptiles and lizards and birds and mammals and primates and everything that you can think of.
Kids seem to love it here. Where else in a big city can you see a Costa Rican wood cockroach using its camouflage to hide against a tree? Or see how an angular winged katydid can hide by blending into the leaves.
I learned that there's not a single tarantula in the world that is poisonous.
I haven't seen this many insects in my whole life. It's like all the different kind of insects are right here.
Throughout the year, there will be 68 different species of insects here, but at any one time, there are only about 35 on display.
There's a roly-poly right there.
Some of the insects here are pretty ordinary, such as the good old kitchen cockroach. But the people who run the zoo say it's just as important to learn about them as to learn about the exotic animals in other parts of the zoo.
You know, you don't see an elephant on a daily basis, but you do see an insect, at least one kind of insect, probably at least a dozen in a day.
You know why they're called a praying mantis?
Because they're praying.
That's right.
They look like they're praying.
I think it's really teaching me something about insects.
This is one of only 4 insect zoos in the entire United States. The others are in Washington, D.C., Cincinnati, and Tucson. The San Francisco Zoo even has its own breeding area, and officials here say that means they can make sure they have the bugs they want all year long. Craig Heaps for CNN, San Francisco.
Easter baskets, colored eggs, chocolate bunnies, and jelly beans. They abound today, and the young and young at heart can tell you what that means. The Easter Bunny has completed his trip for the year. And we've completed our show for this half hour. I'm Cindy Close. We leave you now with a look at some of our own Easter goodies.
on CNN World Report. Thousands of Soviet voters support Boris Yeltsin, their candidate for the new parliament, Soviet TV reports. A UN relief effort sets a new foundation for Palestinian camps destroyed in Lebanon. And Australia flies high with a Sky Star, piloted by computers.
In fact, it looks more like a computer game center than anything else.
CNN World Report, today at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific on CNN.
From Turner Broadcasting System, this is the Headline News Network.
Mom, what's rocket fuel made of?
Look it up, dear.
Look it up, dear.
Stay tuned for a free offer from Encyclopedia Britannica.
Come taste the adventure. Come reach to the sky. Come feel the excitement of who, what, where, why. Open Britannica. Explore and you'll find that living the moment can capture your mind.
To find out more about Britannica for your child, call toll-free 1-800-257-1333 and we'll send you this free booklet. And just for previewing Britannica in your own home, you can get this 3-volume desk reference set absolutely free. So call this number now.
There's experience for a lifetime in Britannica.
Call now.
Headline News, I'm Cindy Close. Hope, freedom, and strength are the themes today as Christians all over the world celebrate Easter Sunday. The holiday marks the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the tomb. In New York, worshipers packed St. Patrick's Cathedral for services led by Cardinal John O'Connor. In Rome, pilgrims flocked to the Vatican to hear the words of Pope John Paul II. Gordon Graham reports.
St. Peter's Square at the Vatican was filled to overflowing for the Pope's Easter Mass and his Urbi et Orbi address, his sermon to Rome and the world. The square has room for 170,000 worshipers, but the crowd spilled over into nearby streets as the Pope sung the Mass under a bright sun and blue skies.
Mysterium Fidei.
The Mass and the communion that followed marked the most important feast day in the Roman Catholic Church, the day of Christ's resurrection after his crucifixion.
The espressione inglese è blessed Easter in the joy of Jesus Christ, the risen Lord and Savior of the world.
As an estimated 500 million television viewers in 50 countries watched, the Pope wished the world a happy Easter in more than 50 languages.
Всех со светлым праздником воскресения Христова.
The short addresses in foreign languages were greeted by bursts of applause and flag waving from Catholics in the crowd who recognized their native tongue.
Di espressione neerlandese.
But the Pope's address contained a message directed beyond the audience of the faithful. The Pope called for an end to religious persecution, saying despite the constitutions of states and international conventions, religious freedom today is often trampled upon. And lamenting war, the Pope said the world seems to be rushing headlong towards self-destruction and death. Mentioning only Lebanon by name, calling the country beloved and tormented, John Paul offered the comfort of religion to the millions suffering from the horrors of war. Gordon Graham, CNN, reporting.
President Bush and his wife are celebrating Easter at Camp David. Later this week, the president will talk to some cabinet members about curtailing the use of firearms in drug-related violence. Attorney General Dick Thornburgh and Drug Policy Director William Bennett will take part. Meanwhile, some gun dealers say they may challenge the administration's ban on semi-automatic weapons. Patricia Ox reports.
Orders for 400,000 imported assault weapons approved by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms before the Bush administration's ban on semi-automatic weapons will be stopped from reaching gun dealers. For now,